They don't ask how, but they do ask how you nearly blew a game to the Redblacks. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the Bombers win in a nail-biter that shouldn't have been a nail-biter by a score of 30-27. Thanks for tuning in. And when I say this was a nail-biter, I'm not saying this in the sense of that Ottawa is a bad team, in the sense of if you look at their recent performances, they've actually been decent. Toronto gave us a run for our money. In one game, they beat us in the other one. And Ottawa beat Toronto in an all-offense game last week, 46-42. But the Bombers, again, were up 17-0 in this game and ended up nearly giving up 30 points, and it was the second half. And so it's one of those things where there are problems that the Winnipeg is having on both sides of the ball here. So firstly, I'm pleased that we won, but it's one of those things where we play like this against other teams, and it's not going to cut it. And so we do need to see some improvement. Now, Oliveira would start with a hell of a run. So Terrell Bonds is out for the season, for those not aware. That was kind of the main injury news. Randolph would take a face mask, and then there would be a great pass for Nick Dembski nearly afterwards. Sergio Castillo with a 54-yard field goal, 3-0 Bombers. Then Ottawa goes on offense. Trey Vavel gets absolutely burned when he was playing DB. Huge passing opportunity, and the Redblacks connect on it. Big gain for them. There's defensive pass interference in the end zone. Ball's on the one. I was not a fan of a lot of the pass interference calls that were given up. In my opinion, it was incredibly weak, and there were some pretty noticeable ones that I thought were not called. So, wasn't crazy about the officiating today, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it and whatnot. But defense pass interference in the end zone. Balls on the 1 yard line. The Bombers hold the line. Third down, they hold it. Turnover on downs. What a play! Star performance of the game for Winnipeg. It's got to be the defensive line. The defensive line was really putting the pressure on, and the problems we had, it wasn't the D-line. They were getting pressure. It was just specifically in the second half, that secondary was one step behind. And it's unfortunate because they had a strong first half. They just weren't able to continue that performance. Anyways, though, offside Redblacks who go back and forth a little bit, still in the first quarter. And then there'd be a punt that kind of goes off a hand. Ottawa would then actually pick those up, so it'd be a no yards penalty automatically against them, as this is a live ball after it's being punted. Bombers would take it back, and Stearns would grab himself a touchdown. The conversion is good. It's 10-0 Winnipeg, ending the first quarter. Second quarter rolls around. Nick Dembski with a great catch, followed by Chris Streveler in short yardage, gets the touchdown. Convert is good. 17-0 Bombers. Magic number that haunted us from last game where we blew that lead. There was a huge game for the Redblacks on a controversial defensive pass interference penalty, which I didn't think our guy even touched him. Again, I was in the stadium. Maybe on the TSN cam, it was a lot more obvious, but I was confused by it. Ward would then hit a 42-yard field goal, making it 17-3 Winnipeg. And I thought it's really important the Bombers are on the board next. It go back and forth a little bit before Evan Holm would get an interception. Definitely one of the better performers of the secondary. They got a little bit more aggressive in the first half, but they were too passive in the second half. They were so afraid of giving up this big chunk of the field that they were okay giving up little chunks of it all the time, which ends up being a big length of the field anyway at that point. But Sergio Castillo would hit a 39-yard field goal, make this 20-3 Winnipeg. So I thought at least he put up points after that 17 and not just giving it all the way up. Ottawa would push it, but they can't get it done. Brady Oliveira gets a great run. And I got to say, on that run, what a block by Chris Kolinkowski. Kolinkowski getting upfield and blocking a good 10, 15, almost 20 yards down. Chris Kolinkowski had a great game. Was relatively thought the O-line was okay. Randolph took a couple undisciplined penalties, but I thought the O-line today had some good blocks. They were better than in some prior games. There would be a procedure. Kolinkowski would take that. And then there would be a pick by the Redblacks, but that's with garbage time left in the second quarter. And we go into halftime, 20-3 Winnipeg. So yeah, you see the score down here. It was 20-3 going into halftime. 24 points given up in the second half. God, we need better than that, you know? It is what it is. Going to the third quarter, though, Bombers would kick off. They would have to re-kick as they were offside. Ottawa pushes downfield. They go into 3rd and 1. They get it done this time. Ottawa keeps pushing. First and goal. First and goal for the Redblacks. Drew Brown goes down. Dustin Crum is in. They're on the Winnipeg 5, and he runs it in for a touchdown. Ottawa with their first touchdown of the game. Conversion is good. It is 20-10 Winnipeg. That lead is eroding now. Sheehan with a really great punt into the northwest corner, and just really does a great job at hemming them in low. And at this point, we get the news that Drew Brown is not going to return for the rest of the night. This is midway through the third quarter. The Bombers trying to put some pressure, and Tanner Schmeckel in at defensive tackle gets the sack, and the Bombers are able to get that ball back after the Redblacks forced a punt, and they drive the field. And Brady Oliveira with the touchdown gets his first touchdown of the game. Conversion is good, 27-10 Winnipeg. Was glad to see us get a little bit of offense there and respond to Ottawa's pressure. Still a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. Evan Holm gets a little roughed up and hurt on the Ottawa kickoff return, although he would return later in the game. There would be also a holding penalty on Ottawa on their kickoff return as well. Crowd is going nuts as Ottawa takes a time count violation. There was a lot of miscommunication for the Redblacks. So Drew Brown or Dustin Crum, he'd signal, put his foot up for the waggle to begin, and then he'd constantly have to stop it. Receivers are having to go back. There were numerous times they were really close to getting time count violations, and they got at least 2 or 3. I think maybe if you count time count violations and procedure penalties, I think they had around 4 all totaled up today. So had a little bit of trouble with the Winnipeg crowd. The Redblacks did. Evan Holm comes back in at this point. And this actually when I then noted that Ottawa was having a lot of miscommunication troubles. Pimpleton then goes down, but he would come back later. Oh boy, he would come back later. As then Ward hits a 46-yard field goal, making it 27-13. It's now a 2-touchdown game. I was a little confused why Ottawa went for this one. And what I mean by that is at this point, there was a bit of time left in the game. They needed a field goal and 2 touchdowns. It was 3rd and 1, though. If I were them, I probably would have went for that in short yardage. I know that they had their problems in it, but you got to have faith in your team to get a yard. And if it was 3rd and 5, I would have definitely gone for the field goal there. But with it being 3rd and 1, I thought it was a little questionable, but it is what it is. Randolph then took a second penalty of the game. It was his 10-yard misconduct penalty. Of course, he took the face mask earlier and then 10-yard misconduct. Goes back and forth a little bit. Pimpleton comes back in, and Redblacks then take a procedure penalty. Ottawa is pushing. There's about 3 minutes left in the game at this point now, and Ottawa gets a touchdown. The convert is good. 27-20 Winnipeg. That lead has now eroded away. It's a 1-score game. Redblacks are back in it. 2:36 left. The Bombers with a big pass for Nick Dembski. And by sheer luck, the Redblacks come out with that ball. Absolutely insane. There was a big pass for Dembski. It was good. And then, because I do have it here. Yeah, no, I'm getting confused on something. There's a big pass for Dembski to move down the field. At this point, Sergio Castillo has a 57-yard field goal lined up. He has hit further, but it's a very hard kick. Not there. I would say that there's no one better equipped in the CFL to hit that field goal, but he does miss. It's a little bit wide left, and Pimpleton picks up that ball, runs all the way down to the sideline, cuts into the middle, and he's gone to the end zone. Touchdown, Redblacks, convert's good. 27-27 tie. The Bombers with, at this point, I'm thinking, oh my God, they just blew the game. They just blew the game. It's their backup playing right now. There's no excuse to lose this game. Like, as much as Ottawa's been on a bit of a heater, I'm sorry. You're the team that's went to the Grey Cup final 5 years in a row. There's no excuse. But he returned it for a touchdown. Redblacks would kick off, and Vival drops it, which I felt my heart sink. But thankfully, he is able to jump on top of it. We still have possession, and there would be a huge pass for Nick Dembski, and this gets intercepted. However, not a big deal here as, firstly, how could Collaros have thrown that ball any better? He threw that perfectly. At that point, that's on Dembski in the sense of that's between him and the guy he's battling with to try to come out with that ball. So absolutely nothing you could. It's perfectly placed by Collaros. There's just not much you can do on that. And at that point, when you're throwing the ball that deep and you're throwing a pick, it's not like it's a pick that Ottawa can do anything with. It's essentially a punt. So I wasn't too worried about it, but I thought we got to really lock in and play some defense. We locked in and played some defense. Ottawa forced to punt, strategically timed timeout play by O'Shea here, as Ottawa wanted to run that clock, but they just couldn't because the Bombers had one timeout left, which meant that the Bombers were going to get a little bit of time, about 18 seconds with the ball. Zach Collaros with 5 receivers out. Everyone was out receiving. And he splits them wide, pulls those linebackers out, and then he runs straight up the middle. The O-line splits it open. He runs straight through the pocket for like 18 yards or something. I can't remember exactly the number. But what a veteran play by Zach Collaros to get them closer and closer, and as close as he can to make this kick as easy as he can for Sergio Castillo. There would then be followed by a great pass for Nick Dembski. And then Sergio Castillo with a 47-yard field goal seals the day, seals the game. Final score, Bombers 30, Redblacks 27. Bombers win in dramatic fashion. And it's funny, when he was kicking that final field goal, I'm thinking, to be honest, go for the field goal, but just kick the crap out of that. So that way, if you miss, you're taking the single. And I know some people will be upset about that. Win's a win. And at this point, well, we already got stuff to be upset about. So this is a lot closer of a game than I'd like. I'm not crazy upset with the defense here, as to be fair, that last touchdown was special teams. So they gave up 20 points defensively. So it is what it is. My problem with the Bombers this game is taking the foot off the gas. You get into the second half of this game, and it really felt like we got cautious. It felt like rather than playing Bomber football, we were just trying to, rather than like preserve a lead that with the way that the Bombers usually do, which I'll explain in a second. It just felt like they were just trying to hang on and just like give up little bits and this and that, and never like occasionally be aggressive, because Bomber football is extremely tight defense, and running the clock with the running game when you get a lead. And so it was one of those things where I think our secondary ended up getting a little bit complacent. I thought they had a very good first half. Secondary had a very good first half. And that's what we need. That's what I expect. I thought the second half was a little bit rougher. It felt like guys like Braylon Addison, it felt like guys like Eugene Lewis had kind of figured them out a little bit. Justin Hardy had figured them out. And then, of course, Pimpleton figured out the special teams. But that's just because Pimpleton's an exceptional returner. And it's one of those things, when he's down the sideline, you got to push him out of bounds. But it is what it is. Bombers will get the win. The schedule's not going to really get any easier, though. We're back on the road. We face the Alouettes, which, you got a chance in that one. But then it's Labor Day, and that's where you really got to lock in, because Saskatchewan's been on one hell of a heater this year, and they're not going to want to drop Labor Day again to Winnipeg. They're not going to want that. So Bombers got to settle in. They're going to have to get to practice. They're going to have to get back and ready. Got to play a little bit tighter, a little bit more aggressive. I thought Jason Hogan's play calling today was decent. I thought there was some nice plays where on first down he'd fake that run and then he'd throw into the flats and go that way, because a run on first down with Brady Oliveira is pretty predictable. And so I thought there were some good moves there. Although I do still think that he needs to use Brady Oliveira to his full potential, as I still don't think we saw that. He had 35 yards rushing. I do need a bit of better performance there, but it is what it is. Nick Dembski had a great game, and I thought Stearns had a very good catch for the touchdown, climbing the ladder to grab that ball. But all in all, I think the expectation for Bomber football is higher, but I think we're relatively pleased with the win here, as a win's a win. And the Bombers now go to 5-4. Lions still sit behind us at 4-5. My apologies. And yeah, so just got to keep climbing and try to get back into it in the West. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys leave a like, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace, love, and positivity, all you wonderful people at home, and we will see you guys next time.
Can they take the lead on this drive?